All right, I'll go ahead and read my little speech and then we'll get started. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for this week's Weekly Wednesday presentation from the Mobile Crisis Assessment Team, also known as MCAT. This presentation is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Otsego County Office for the Aging Facebook page and website. I ask that everyone except the presenter and myself keep your videos turned off and that you remain muted unless you have a question. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions as we move through this presentation. You can also use the chat feature if you prefer, and I will ask those questions for you. For those who are new to Weekly Wednesday presentations, we host presentations every Wednesday using the same link at 11 a.m. Topics are on various community-based organizations, and this was established in November of 2020 as a way to continue education on services and supports amid a global pandemic. My name is Alicia Chase. For those who are unfamiliar, I am the Otsego County's long-term care coordinator. My role here at Office for the Aging is to supervise the Otsego County New York Connects program. For those who are not familiar, New York Connects is a connection for all long-term services and supports, no matter of age. While my office is under Office for the Aging, we can help anyone of any age looking for help navigating that complicated long-term care system. It could be friends, family, caregivers, or the client themselves. If they need information and assistance or guidance on referrals, applications, adult homes, nursing home placement, or just any link to any mental health services, Department of Social Services, disability services, New York Connects can help you. We have a New York Connects partner with the Independent Living Center in Oneonta. Those wishing to reach out to me can do so by calling Office for the Aging at 547-4232. And at this time, I will turn the program over to Danette Morgan with the Mobile Crisis Team for today's presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Today I'm going to be discussing MCAT services and support. MCAT stands for the Mobile Crisis Assessment Team, and we're a crisis intervention service of mental health, and we provide help during a crisis to children as well as adults in Oneida County, Herkimer County, Otsego County, Delaware County, Shenango County, and Schoharie County. So we do service 6 counties in upstate New York. And we have the ability to respond to crisis where they occur. Mobile meaning wherever the crisis is. It could be on a sidewalk or in a school setting. I've done assessments in churches and things like that. And we work with the individuals and family and community-based agencies to assist whenever it is needed. Like I mentioned a little while ago, we do the mental health assessments, determining if an individual is safe to remain in the community. The full assessment is done anywhere. What that entails is one of our clinicians like myself would go out to or respond to a call, and we would take the information over the phone and respond by going out. We usually travel in an unmarked car and respond to the client that's in need. And we do conduct the full mental health assessments. It usually takes approximately maybe an hour, hour and a half or so, depending on the situation. We also provide linkage to outpatient mental health services at the time of the assessment. So if at the time of the assessment, if we believe after completing the assessment that the individual is safe to remain in the community and they're looking for outpatient mental health, we do referrals after we've completed the assessment and determined that the individual is safe to remain in the community. If they are not safe to remain in the community, we would do, and they're a harm to themselves or others, we would do what we call a 941, and that would entail hospitalization. First, the police would respond, then the ambulance would take the client to the hospital. Usually it's the nearest hospital. If the client has a choice, if they're volunteering to go, of course, that can be done. And we stay there until the situation resolves. After they're taken to the hospital by ambulance, even before they reach, we contact the hospital, letting them know that the patient is en route there, just so it's a smooth transition. When they're taken to the hospital, they're taken to the emergency room first to be screened medically, because we have to make sure that they're not injured or anything. The medical comes over psychological first in this case. So that's the mental health assessments that we conduct, and the length of time and the disposition that's provided by our clinicians like myself. We also do, like I mentioned, outpatient linkage to outpatient mental health services. A lot of times people call and say, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for 3 months to get into outpatient mental health services, and I just can't do it. They won't let me, and instead of having them wait, we can conduct an assessment just to get them in for outpatient mental health services if that's needed. We would do the same process where they call in, we basically do the assessment, and at the end they signed a release of information. We do all the legwork. They don't really have to do anything. Then we fax the information to the facility that they choose. We usually give them a list of facilities, and we fax the information, which is the assessment, to them, describing their needs and the reason for the referral. We also have what we call our crisis case management. What that is the services that deals with people that are in crisis. If they're homeless and they're in a pinch, sometimes it doesn't even matter if they are mentally ill. We still treat them like regular people. So we would help them with housing. We would help them navigate resources within the community, whether they're looking for, insurance, from the DSS. The case management services the provider will go with them, and stick with them until that process is completed. Being that it is a crisis case management service, it is short term, it's not long term. Meaning after the crisis is sustained, we can discharge. If we feel as if, and if the client is communicating to us that, the need is greater, we can also refer them to other agencies that provide longer term case management services. So that piece, the process is it still comes through our hotline. Although, all our program, it comes through one hotline, and you would deal with a clinician like myself, and they would do the referral process over the phone. The clients doesn't really have to do anything. After the information is taken, the crisis case management service provider would reach out to the individual within 1 to 3 business days, and then coordinate a time to meet up, and they would meet and go over the need and do the assessment for their needs and work with them at that time. We also have our peer advocacy. What that entails, we have one for mental health, and we also have a peer advocacy for substance abuse. That's just additional support, again, short term, because it's a crisis situation. And that would be just having someone there to talk to, if somebody's mentally ill, if they're forgetting to take their medication, if they need assistance in getting to a substance abuse facility. Even though a substance abuse facility is self-referred, they would basically sit with the client, whether it's on speaker with their permission, of course, and do the process, because we understand that it can be, really traumatic for some people that are on substances. So the peer advocate would sit there with them, explain the things, but the client would have to basically self-refer. We have an exciting program here at MCAT. It's about 6 or 7 months old. It's called our Bridge Script program. What that is if an individual is out of medication, they don't have a provider, they're waiting for a provider maybe in a month or two, and they've been out of medication, we can take a script program referral on behalf of the client, even if they call in themselves. It could be an individual, it could be the PCP, primary care physician's office. It could be, I had moms who called in for children, and we would fill the information out over the phone, the same phone number. You would talk to a clinician like myself. We would do all the legwork. We would, of course, ask questions. Some of the questions entailed, of course, their demographic information, who their past provider was for that medication. And this is solely, just so you guys know, it's solely for psychotropic medications. So we take all the information down, the pharmacy that they usually get the script from, the last time that they've gotten the medication or taken the medication. If it's a medication like lithium, or Depakote or something like that, that deals with them having to have a CBC, a complete blood workup, we have to ask them more information so we can contact their physician to see when was the last time they had their blood level checked. But we would do all the legwork for the Bridge Script program. Once the Bridge Script program referral is taken over the phone, we, as the clinicians, would just email it to one of our providers within the neighborhood center, and she would look at it. It usually takes about, I've done one, and the longest that I had to wait was a day. So it's pretty fast because it's a crisis situation. We don't want anyone to go without medication. We do check to make sure that the individuals aren't abusing the medication through the New York State. But for the most part, people are out of medication. They need medication to sustain, and this is actually to prevent them from using the ER. A lot of times, people are out of medication, that, they don't have a provider, and then they would just go to the emergency room. This would be another bridge and safety for them to just get the script from us, pick up the medication at the pharmacy. So they would call in. We would take the information, do all the legwork. We contact the pharmacy that they last got the medication from, verify that this individual had gotten their medication, the dosage and everything like that. And once that's completed, and it's approved, and usually 9 out of 10 times it's approved. So once it's approved, we would call the individuals back and to let them know that they can pick up the medication at their local pharmacy that they gave us. So it's an exciting program. I really, really enjoy doing Bridge Script because a lot of people do decompensate if they don't have their medication. So and we want to prevent hospitalization, as much as possible. So this is why it's exciting to me. We also do de-escalations of situations. A lot of times parents would call and say to us, come get our child, they're out of control. We can't physically come put our hands on them and pick them up and take them away, but we can de-escalate the situation, whether it's over the phone or in person. And that doesn't need a full assessment unless we're seeing them face to face or even virtual. And a lot of times we do virtual now due to, the coronavirus. So, we try to do as much as possible through virtual. If it's at all necessary, we go out. We also do debriefing. A lot of times tragedy happens, like school shootings or for a suicide or something like that, we usually have a number of our team go out to the location and, you know, counsel the person or the group that's in need of that. I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, there was a big limo accident. I think it was in the Schoharie County region, and a lot of members of our team went, you know, and it prevented a lot of suicidal, you know, because the person that was responding, the fire department, the police department, it was so tragic that they, you know, loved us for just coming and talking to them and just giving them hope. So that's an exciting thing that MCAT has to offer that not a lot of people know that we offer that. We also have what we call our wellness calls. What that is if an individual needs additional support, they can call us to put themselves on wellness calls, but most of the time, clinics call, you know, if a client is high risk, meaning that they are, you know, suicidal, maybe they're depressed, postpartum depression, or any kind, and the clinician feels that they need additional support, they would call us. We would take all the information, and it's usually a 3-day process where we would call the individuals and, you know, for support, speaking with them. How are you doing? Do you want to talk about anything? You know, kind of a counseling, you know, over the phone. So that's exciting as well. We also have what we call our alert request program. What that is, if somebody is like missing, if somebody eloped from a facility and can't be found, the providers usually call, and we, you know, basically go through the same process, taking the information and putting them on our alert system. The alert system, the client doesn't have to know that they're on it. It's just for if we get contacted by the police, because we do work very, very closely with the police department in all 6 counties. So a lot of times they would call us, you know, do you have any info on this person? And we can say, hey, yeah, we do, you know, and we go through the alert. And that's why we partnership with the police department. And that's what I'm going to be talking about because it's so exciting and it's very, very new, and it's a pilot program right now. So what that is, we're going to have a clinician stationed. We're starting out with Oneida County first, just to see how that goes, and just to ride along with the police officers, you know, a mental health clinician, of course, and do assessments, you know, which would reduce any risk, you know, it would reduce the process of the hospitalization, because not everybody who's in crisis needs to go to the hospital. Sometimes they just need to talk, or, you know, referral to services, or, you know, things like that. So that's basically really, really new at MCAT, and I'm really excited about it. The frequency of our visits would determine on the individual's needs and their family members and the support staff, you know, that are referring these individuals. So they can call anytime. A lot of time people just call our hotline for support. You know, I've had clients just call and cry, you know, and that's okay. So we're there for support if they are in a mental health clinic and they can't even get in touch with their therapist or medication provider. They would call us and discuss what's going on. And as clinicians, we would work accordingly and assist them. Okay, so that about wraps it up for my presentation. Any questions at all? Hello? Look.
Sorry, I was muted.
I was like, what happened?
Do you find that responding virtually when they're in crisis, does that work for people, or do you have to go out more often than not?
It does work for people because right now a lot of people are worried about, of course, the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And we get, being that we're in a situation that we're in, as the whole world, you know, the crisis, as you can hear, so I don't know if you can hear in the background, our phones have been ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe they need just to talk about what's going on. Maybe somebody died in their family with COVID. We've had a lot of that.
Yeah.
Maybe just referral to services, because we've been, anxiety increased, depression increased.
Mm-hmm.
So we do get a lot of those calls, as you can hear in our background.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Yeah.
We're working around the clock. We are available 24/7. We never close, even Christmas Day. There's always somebody there. I've been where people call at 3 o'clock in the morning or Christmas Day. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, we never sleep. You can see the bags under my eyes, but
Yeah. It's a needed service for sure. When you have to go out, what is your, because we're in such a rural area, what is the average or targeted response time?
we would basically, you know, of course, Google where you're living, and we would give you an ETA.
Okay.
So if it's rural, you know, maybe our response time in Oneida County is a half hour. If
Okay.
it's rural, it's going to be longer,
Yeah.
especially in the winter months, you know, for safety reasons, and because we're not the police, you
Right.
know. If a situation occurs where, you know, we feel that the police should do the welfare check, we would send them ahead first. They
Okay.
can stay there and wait, and they're pretty good with that. And then when we get there, either they clear the scene, and then if we need them to stay, they can stay. If they need to go, they can go, and we continue with the assessment process.
Do you have staff like in each of the counties? Like, is there someone here in Otsego County?
We don't have one right now.
Yeah.
However, we're interviewing, but it doesn't mean that we still won't respond, you know,
Right.
for services at this time. It's just that, you know, we had somebody leave and we have to
Yeah.
fill it. It's a very difficult job, as you know,
Yeah.
responding to crisis. So, you know,
So you just send someone from a different county if you
if
had
they, we would partnership with the police department
Okay.
in doing so.
Okay. Those are all the questions I had. Did anybody else have any other questions? We'll give it a second, see if anything comes in the chat. And then I'll let you get to all those phone calls you're missing.
I just wanted to add one thing, if
Sure.
nobody has. We just started collecting insurance information. Our services it's free of charge, but if they do have insurance, we do bill the insurance company, not the individual that's receiving the services.
Oh, that's a good way to recoup money.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But if they don't have insurance, we would try, you know, if they need insurance, we can refer them to case management and they can try to help. So we really try to help everybody.
Right. There don't appear to be any questions. If anybody thinks of anything that you have after this, you can always email it to me and I will get it to Danette to get you a response. And that's all. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us. And I hope that you can give us a call when you need us. We're available. If you need more
I've had to
bookstores.
talk to you once before.
Okay. I hope it was good. Good experience.
That's why I had a lot of questions.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.